Well, hi, my name is Pete, and welcome to another session of Electronic Assisted Astronomy with an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, a Celestron CPC-800. It's a 14-year-old telescope, and currently it is freezing outside. It's I think it's -1, but it feels like -4 or something, according to the weather station, and it does feel like that. In fact, the last couple of nights I've been out, and the first night, when I brought the telescope in, it was covered in ice. More disturbingly, the laptop that was underneath was equally covered in ice, so this could have been quite disastrous. So made a few changes to try and stop that happening again. As you can see right now, we're looking at M15 in Pegasus. It's a globular cluster, as it says on the banner, what was that, over up here. It's 35,700 light years away. As I said, yeah, it's cold out there, and it's also a full moon. In fact, if I bring up Astro Planner, it is a 97.7% full moon. We're looking at M15. I love globular clusters. I mean, they're amazing things. We've only just started this stack. We've only done 10 subs so far. We're using, what is it we're using? 8-second subs, and we're using a dark, which I created tonight. But I think it's already 2.8 degrees. The camera's temperature is 2.8, which means we know we're below zero. The real temperature outside. We've zoomed in here to 100%. Oh, this is kind of a beta fest as well with the software, I'm afraid. So we're using the 4.1 beta of SharpCap. We're using a 1.1 plus beta of Stellarium, and it's the Qt 5 build. So I was using the Qt 6 framework, no problems at all, and then I noticed that if I was connected to a telescope and I minimized or put a window over the top of Stellarium, it seemed to crash now and again. So I went back to the Qt 5 build, or the Qt 5 framework build, I suppose, of 1.1. It's the current beta. I think it was released on the 5th of December. Those problems seem to go away. So yeah, so Stellarium up here is Stellarium up here, so to say, is just showing what we're looking at. We're looking at right here in the southwest sky, and this down here, this is CPWI, and this is also a beta. This is beta 11. This is 2.4.3 beta 11 of CPWI, and that's running our telescope. There's a few other things. Oh, AstroPlanner, which, yeah, don't leave AstroPlanner out. AstroPlanner is also beta. This is beta 14. Oh, I can't remember of what is it, 2.4 beta? Yes, 2.4 beta 14. So that's there as well. In fact, while M15 builds up, we've done 23 frames. Why don't I show you my setup and we can go on from there. So if I just minimize, he says, here is my setup. Oh, this is taken earlier today. So this is the Celestron out on the decking. So it looks a bit frosty out there. And there were some clouds just earlier on. Also, I seem to have put the dew shield on wonky, but there you go. And here is my plastic box, which will save me from ever... Oh, where shall I go? Where shall I go? Move myself over there. Which will save me from the terrible... literally, it was the whole top of it was iced up because the screen goes off because I'm connected to it via remote desktop. So I put it inside this box and run the wires out of it. I also switched to using Wi-Fi as well. I set up an access point, a special access point just for it that's very close, and now we get a much higher bandwidth than we did with the power line converters into the house. And so we've got the old power line wiggling away. We've got the two USB going up here, and we've got the power that drives the telescope as well here as well. In fact, while we're here, let's see what we said earlier today. So this is in the office, so it might be worth just going through what we've got here. So we have the dew shield, which came with the telescope 14 years ago, kind of needed. Also, very quickly after that, I bought the this one here. I think it's the Kendrick Digifire 7. They don't, well, they make a Digifire, but they don't make a Digifire 7 anymore. It's quite old, 14 years old. And that's connected to this dew band, and that gently warms the front of my scope, the corrector plate, and stops the dew from forming. And the humidity is quite high, and I've noticed that the seeing conditions go down quite quickly. So we'll hurry through this so we can see some more objects before the seeing becomes really bad. And the moon rises even more, which is probably even more disastrous. And then at the back, we've got the old Celestron electronic focuser. In fact, I think if we can go to the back image. Ah, yes. So this wire here is USB 2 lead that leads down into the computer, and that controls the focuser. And then there's another wire that comes down from the focuser into the base of the telescope. There it is. And that then links the computer, the laptop, to the computer so we can control it via the CPWI. And then if we move a bit onto the optical train of what we've got here, when I bought the telescope, it was purely for visual use. I obviously had no intention of doing any astrophotography, no intention of ever doing EAA. In fact, 14 years ago, I hadn't even heard of EAA. So, you know. But, so I did buy this, which was an f6.3 focal reducer, which I used for a long time. But then I got some 2-inch eyepieces and I didn't use that anymore. But it's in here because what we want to do is capture as much light as we can as quickly as possible. And the native focal length of this telescope is a f10, and so it reduces it by 0.63, which gives us an f6.3. However, there is a difference here, is that the distance between here, the focal reducer, and up in here where the chip is in the camera determines obviously the focal length that you'll get. And tonight I think we're using f1.6. Well, we're using it because I kind of unwound it. I'll explain in a second. I just wanted to see if I could make the focal length a little bit less, hence get a little bit more light. I could go a bit further. Anyway, so here we go. We've got an f6.3 Celestron focal reducer. Then this tiny little thing here, this is just a SCT to T2 converter, and it's very small. I think it's like 1.5 millimeter. It adds to the optical path or an optical train, so it's quite small, and that allows me then to put this in. Now this is so this is a Beta Planetarium product as well. There's a few Beta Planetarium products here. So this is a Verilog. It's 29 millimeter to 46 millimeter extension, and what you do is you unscrew it and then use this locking nut. You might be able to see it there, this locking ring. They give you a special tool, and you lock it into place. Anything attached to it rotates as well, so you'll end up in a funny old location. But luckily they've got 6 of these kind of hex scrub screws dotted around it, and if you just ease those off, you can then turn your, in this case there's a prism here, to where the orientation you want, tighten them up, and you're fine. But this allows me to alter that distance between the chip and also the end of the f6.3 focal reducer. Now the distance should be 105 millimeters, but where my focal length is less, this is obviously more than. So I could screw it in. As you see, there is some threads there to move it back to us, probably where it should be for ideal use. Then we go on to the star diagonal. Now, why a star diagonal? Well, I think I've explained this before, but the Celestron CPC-800 has stubby little arms. It's a fork-mounted telescope. And if I wanted the 105mm, and I had the necessary extension tubes here, excuse me, and I put the camera so it's actually in line, I would hit the base of my telescope down here. Now, there are ways around that. You could, for example, say, well, I'm not going to look at any object above 70 degrees or 60 degrees or something like that. And you can program the software. You could program CPWI and also AstroPlanner, I think, as well, to say, do not slew higher than that. But that worried me somewhat. So I decided that I would much prefer that there was no physical way of this lot smashing into the bottom of my telescope base and possibly breaking lots of different parts of my telescope. So I had to put in this diagonal, and now this is a Beta Planetarium T2 star diagonal. So it has a T2 thread on this side, which obviously the T2 extension tube screws into, and it has a T2 thread on this side. And this is a prism. They make 3 of these, I think, 3 different types, and this one's the kind of middling one. So they make an expensive one, or rather they use, is it Zeiss? They use a prism that's created by Zeiss, and then this one is the prism that's created by them to the same Zeiss specification, and then they have a lower version as well, which is cheaper. So they have 3 of these. It's good. I quite like it. Above that, we have an AliExpress special, but I needed some way of orientating the camera as well. And so what I did was I bought this, and apparently CAA stands for Camera Angle Adjuster. That's what I believe. And it really has got 3 knurled little knobs which allow me to tighten it up. And if I untighten them, it's got this kind of liquid movement to it. Must be quite a bit of oil in there, which allows you to turn the camera to the orientation you want. And finally, the thing that allows us to do electronic assisted astronomy is the camera, which is an Altair Astro 294C Pro. It's fan cooled, not tech cooled. So we'll look at the temperature in a minute. I think I said it was about 2 point something degrees. And that's the temperature of the camera. It's a color camera, one-shot color camera, because when I wanted to do EAA, I wanted to see color, because when I was doing visual astronomy, pretty hard to see color with an 8-inch Schmidt anyway. I wanted to see more detail, and I wanted to see fainter, and hence this camera is there to do it. And I've had it now for, I think I've been doing EAA for building up for 3 years when it comes to February. So, and it served me well, which is good. And I had this mounting plate, on top. That's just to make the telescope look cool. No, it's not. But I'm thinking about putting a DSLR up there so that I could take some more wider field shots. And again, more to do with the EAA, so I could just visualize larger objects that I can see with my Schmidt Cassegrain. This telescope is so old, it's not even fast star compatible, so I couldn't make this a fast star. I couldn't put a camera at the front and make it into an F2 or whatever it was. Similar to a Raza, but no, it's too old even for that. Though there might be some accessories you can do it with, but it's not naturally fast star compatible. So there you go. That's an overview of the system I'm using, the Optical. But the most important thing, I suppose, is the software. And here we've got the software and the computers, obviously. So here we've got 2 computing systems. So outside we have the laptop that had a tendency to freeze itself, and not as a computing way, but as literally frozen itself. And that's connected to the telescope. So we have a USB 3 link that goes down to the camera, which is SharpCap is showing it here. 12 minutes we've been doing this. I don't normally do it for 12 minutes, usually do it 5 or 10 minutes or something. But it's looking good, M15 there now. So we've got SharpCap, which is actually taking the pictures. It's stacking those pictures up. It does things like autofocusing, which I use, autofocusing. Well, it is automatic focusing. Yeah, it does automatic focusing as well, which is really good. I did a little video about that, which seems, and how I use it. It seems to work pretty well, actually. And then we've got this, which is CPWI. Let me just move myself out the way again. So this is CPWI. This is the beta again. And this is how I use to align the scope. So the green circle with the cross in it, that's where my scope is pointing. And I've locked it on. There's a little lock icon there, so it will follow my scope. These little orange crosses are the stars I aligned on to build the model. Now, if I had an observatory and my telescope never moved, it would be great. I could model the sky and get everything perfect. But unfortunately, I have to bring it in every night and throw it out every night. And what I do is I chuck it outside, align it or level it. There's a little level on the actual base of the tripod. And then I point it roughly north. And for tonight, for example, I'm usually pretty good. But tonight, when I went to align it, I usually have to use plate solving. I use ASTAP for that, or Sky Plate Solver. They're both set up on the laptop. I was 5 1/4 degrees out, which prompted ASTAP, prompted ASTAP to say, really? You want me to move? You're 5 1/4 degrees out from where you think you are? Well, yeah, so a pretty bad alignment, but it was cold. It was very cold. That runs on the laptop, and that's running via a Wi-Fi link through a dedicated access point, which is working, again, really well. I was using power line converters, and they were working fine. It's just that this gives me some extra speed. I had an old, is it an Archer C3200 router, which I repurposed as the access point. So that all runs out on the laptop. The only other piece that runs out on the laptop as well is piece of software, shall I say, is this. It's the ASCOM remote server. Now, this is quite important because this allows the software that's inside to talk to CPWI, which is on the laptop, and tell it where to point and so on, where to slew to. And I take it that this exposes some alpaca interface or so on, and then it converts it to classic ASCOM to talk to CPWI. So this is a hub. I do believe CPWI can act as a hub as well, but this is the hub that we use. Moving inside, he says, oops, I'm looking at the wrong one. Hold on a second. There we go. Moving inside, we've got some software. We have Astro Planner that drives my entire observing session. Here is a plan of observing objects. We've got some nice widgets. So right now I'm on M15 and it shows me what time it is, and the best time to observe it is roughly now. It's going to dip down a bit as the moon is coming up. This is the best time in the year to observe it. Oh, actually, in fact, you can't really see that. So let me just zoom in. So this shows me for the night, and this shows me for the year, the best time. This shows me its current position, its altitude, and its azimuth. This tells me some telescope positioning information. This tells me the moon is 97.6% full. So with some information on sunlight and twilight, the current time, location I'm doing from is home, which is the Isle of Wight, small island off the south coast of England. And that's that really. It does do some more things actually. AstroPlanner the beta program. I love it really. I think it's a really great program. In fact, actually, if I zoom in again, if you look at look at M15. If we go to the field of view, I turn off the widgets actually, so we have a bigger view. So it can download images, the deep sky survey images, and also it has a whole series of catalogs. Here's the catalogs that I've got loaded. There are many more catalogs available. Here's all the different display options. Here's some things about what stars I'm displaying, things like that. I mean, I love the fact that the blue stars. This one here's the blue stars are blue. The orangey stars are orange, and so on. Little map in here, and this shows me what I'm roughly going to see, and the red circle is my telescope. That's where I'm meant to be doing. And in here I can go in and start adding things, so I can click on something and say add this to the plan and things like that. So it's all quite powerful. There's an overall sky view as well, and all these kind of salmon colored with 1s and 2s, these are the number of observations and of all the objects I have in my current plan. So that's quite neat as well. And then, of course, I've got my observations as well. So here are the observations that I've been doing over the period that I've been using this. It has custom fields, has custom fields everywhere. It's a fantastic database product, and you can use those fields. And I used a lot in the scripting to do things like that as well. So this is, say I'm doing an EAA session and so on. I can have attachments, very easy to add in the pictures. Here is... I always usually take, Robin in SharpCap produces a text file that allows me to see this is all the different things that I was doing. Oh, look at that. The temperature was 13.1 degrees, if only. All the information about the particular images. And that is, I'm zooming in again. That is AstroPlanner, which I haven't, there we go. And this, in fact, what I'll do is I also use Windows Power Toys, which locks things. And over here we have Stellarium, which I've still got the atmosphere on. So let's take the atmosphere off. And this is my Planetarium program, so I can zoom in and see what I'm looking at, which is M15, and zoom back out again and see what's going on in the rest of the wood. And it's also got my house and things in there, though it's very hard to see. Hold on, if I turn on my There you go. So I turn on my house, or actually turn off the atmosphere. Then you can see where we are. So that's the software I'm using, and that's all running on the desktop inside, and that communicates via ASCOM down to the laptop that's outside. So we've actually finished it. So what I'm going to do is on M15 is I'm just going to create an observation. It's really quite simple. I just press new observation. This is my first observation. So these are my custom fields. This is an EAA, but we're on YouTube, so I better put it on YouTube, and I'll put the link on later. Let's do the description. So M15. But all this talking, I've missed the fact that this is actually an amazing object. So we're zoomed in 100% here, and the string of stars is amazing. There's a planetary nebula, PMPS-1, which is the reason why that's a little linked in Astro Planner to say they're associated. I have a feeling it's up around here somewhere. Actually, maybe we'll take a look at that in a second. But let's just say amazing sight. Full moon. Ooh, it's a full moon and high humidity, but still the stars are amazing, especially as they're 35,700 light years away. I'll go into an attachment now, and what I'll do is I'll say save exactly as seen. And if I go into here, hopefully it's 1808. As you see, I've already taken a bit more. I will take this and I will drag it across. I want to copy it into my database. There it is. And what I do is I just take a copy of the text file, which has the description for that particular image, place it in there. And this is a custom field I'm just using just to say what type of image it is. I just felt that maybe in the future I wanted to search out whether it was a PNG or a FITS file of an object. It might help to have that recorded, although obviously I could easily find out. It's probably from the file names extension, but there you go. And that's it. I've just created an observation. So M15 has now gone up to 7. It's also got a grey little box on it because it's been observed tonight. Let's go somewhere else. I was going to go to a star cluster, Mothra. Let's go to Mothra. So this is the Mothra star cluster, slightly different to a globular cluster. Two different ways of doing it. I could have done it from here, from Astro Planner, but I'm going to do it from here. So I'm going to do current object. And get rid of that a second. I'll go into fine mode. And I will slew, and we'll set that as the current object. I think we'll set that as current object. Oh no, we haven't got anything set as the current object. Hold on, what we called it? NGC 6940. Oh right, okay. Let me just see. Oh no, panicking now. There you go. We've got to do a find. What is it called? 6940. 6940. Find that for me, please. Oh, not in there. Oh, let's add it then. So we go into a new object. And we do NGC 6940. What already exists? Oh, maybe I just didn't type in. Ah, there it is. And we'll just set that as the current object. The great thing is we've got a great, I can just look at the field of view of this as well, again, just to check what it's look like. And yeah, we're going to see where we are. Are we there? We are there. We didn't stretch, so let's have a little stretch. Ah, there we go. We've got some stars. What I'll just do actually is I'll just do a plate solve. And we'll see if we are actually in the right place. I'll just put my cursor over a star there. So we were 0.02 degrees off. So we'll just let it find that again. Now the Mothra cluster is in Cygnus, I believe. Is it in Cygnus? No. constellation. Is it Volp? Oh, it's the Fox. Yes, the Fox. All right, so we're there. Let's do we'll do another 8-second exposure. Let's press the observe button. And there we go. So what I've done is there's some scripts that I was running. The reason it wasn't working, I wasn't directly over. Oh, here we go. We're at auto now. So this is the full screen. You can see there's a lot of noise. It's easy to see here on this monitor. I've got a 4K monitor in front of me, so I can see there's a lot of noise in this image. It looks pretty obvious on YouTube, but maybe not. And as the frames stack up, then it's going to get a cleaner image. Though we are fighting high humidity tonight and that moonlight as well. Let's put the widgets back on AstroPlanner. Well, we are 97.6%. Moonlight. So the Mothra cluster is, it says it's a rich cluster of more than 100 stars. It's in the Milky Way. It's in the Milky Way. So there's loads of stars in the Milky Way. Quite a few. It's in the Milky Way. You may notice that there is a little kind of donut here and a donut here. And that's because I'm not using flats. And you'll also notice what we call the vignetting, where it's darker in the corners and lighter towards the, and that is also because I'm not using flats. With this I should be, but if I just back off a little bit on the mids, and this is how I can push it down, you'll see that I can kind of even the image out a bit more. And so we've got the Mothra cluster, which is 2,500 light years away. It says medium brightness range of cluster members. And it's just a nice it's a big cluster. It must probably be much better in a larger field of view, because the field of view of my telescope, if we go to here, is, here's the Mothra cluster in Stellarium, is 52.46 arc minutes by 34.63 arc minutes. So what's that? Nearly a degree, over half a degree. Yeah, so it's not the biggest. So it doesn't stand out as well as it would do most probably in a slightly larger field of view telescope. But we'll go back out to where it was. And it is amazing. It is totally amazing the view. And that's what EAA is about. It's about the view. I take a snapshot at the end and put it into AstroPlanner to log what I've seen. And that's quite interesting, because over the period of time, you can go back and go, oh, that was a bad night, or this was a really good night. And so you can see the effect of the seeing and the transparency. You can see the effect of the full moon, and you can see the effect of the high humidity out there. So this is 21 subs, and as you see already, it's cleared down a little bit. So we might be able to move the mid levels up a little bit more now, just to get those fainter stars coming through. As soon as we do, of course, we get that more central glow happening, which is called a calibration file. A flat file would bring up those corners and keep the middle lower, or keep it the same. I don't know how that works actually. But yeah, it gives a flat field, which is exactly what you're after. I was watching a video on YouTube. I think it was from the Houston Astronomical Society, and it was one about, I think it was two guys, and they were doing, or two members, and they were doing a kind of introduction to EAA and about how they use it in outreach. And it was a really good video. But one thing that struck me is that I think one of them said, or maybe both, maybe one said, that EAA was a complement to visual astronomy. And one of the one of the downsides of EAA was that the stars look better visually than they do, because they twinkle, I suppose, than they do here. I wasn't, even though I love the video, and please, my wife's got family in Houston, but it was a bit strange. They said it complements visual astronomy. I have no intention of looking through one of those funny eyepieces again. I mean, first of all, I have to be outside now in -3 temperatures to do that. Also, I see so much more. I see color, I see more detail, I see structure in galaxies. And that's what's so amazing. So I had to disagree with that statement. Obviously, everyone's opinion's correct, but I see no reason to go back to visual astronomy at all. So that was quite interesting. They said it, but a video worth watching because it was quite good what they were saying. The outreach stuff looked fantastic as well, which is exactly what this is great at. Sharing what you're doing with other people and getting them involved, hopefully. We're going for 4 minutes, 32 seconds, so I'm just going to save that exactly as seen. Did I just move my thing now? Where were we? NGC 6940, weren't we? Missed it. Where have we gone? Oh, let's do another find. I have this, yeah, as I said, I have this thing on, so let's do a find. What was it? NGC, it was called Mothra, wasn't it? I don't think it had that name. NGC 6940. It says found, contains 6940. Put NGC in capitals. No, it says it's not there. Don't know if that's a bug or whether that's just me being silly. Let me just go to a new object again and start typing it in again. I think it's going to tell me it's already there. Yeah. Weird. Could be a bug. Don't know. Let's create a new observation for that though. So go to general. We'll say that it's a large collection. Magnitude stars in the Milky Way. My telescopes field of view did not do it justice. Go, and we're doing attachment anyway, so let's go here, let's go back out. The same banner that appears up here on the screen is used to name my files as well here. That's so when I set that banner, it also sets the file that SharpCap uses to save anything under, so it just helps when you're just finding things. And that's due to the fact that AstroPlanner has its own scripting language built in, which makes it even more powerful than it already is. And it is a powerful program as well. It's got lots and lots of features in it, which we might show later on or on other videos, because it is a very complete package. I like the Betas interface better as well, so that's good. Okay, so shall we, while we're here? I was thinking the last chance, I mean, it's a summer object really, isn't it? But the Dumbbell, let's go for the Dumbbell. It's Planetary Nebula, nice and big one as well. It's SLU 2M27. In fact, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, we didn't come out into fine mode. Let's go into fine mode. Stretch that as well. Let's just, I'm not sure if M27's here, so let's add it in. It's not. Excellent. I can just about see it there. It's right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it up a little bit and move it across a little bit and up a bit. Oh, Oh, I hope I moved it too much. 1, 2, 3, that way. There you go. Let's set it to an 8-second. And if I in that again, M27, let's observe it. And there we go. There are no, the find and observe buttons are again another script, because SharpCap has scripting in it as well. It uses a Python type script, while AstroPlanner uses a more Visual Basic-y type one. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. It's the same, I think it's the same language it's written in. There we go. So right straight away we have our Planetary Nebula. Again, a bit noisy, but that's certainly the first 4 images. We're doing 8-second subs on this. Back in the middle. Let's get the colours. The colour's a bit down. Let's get the colour up. And we're not really colour balanced. So if I click on the little colour, I can move it up. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get using the green as the base, I'm moving the red over the top of the green, and then if I go to the blue, I'm moving the blue. Oh, blue just, there we go, over the top. And I might whack the colour up a little bit more. And let's zoom in. Let's see what it's like at 100%. See, now you can see that there's some noise here. If I back off slightly while we wait for it to build, reduce the noise a little bit more, and let's bring the black level up close to that peak. And then if we can move the mid levels. And this is what we're doing in EAA to try and pull out those characters. So, I mean, I can already see this red shell here and extends down here. There seems to be this finger that's obviously wrapped around this bubble of gas that's being puffed off by the central star, and the central star is right there. That's kind of it looks bluish in this particular way, but I think that's the color balance. Excuse me. And then we've got these kind of winglets coming off, which are very faint currently, and this kind of apple core, and it is called the apple core. Oh, it is there. Sorry, it's on the banner. It's on the banner up there. Sorry, my fault. It is called the Diablo Nebula as well. Now, one thing that's not there is its distance. I've added a field into Astro Planner, a user-defined field that I can alter the display that's shown up above if I think that the display is wrong. But also as it's distant, also as an info URL that if I generate it via a script goes to CDS, but I obviously didn't because I've just added that in now. They say it's 861.2 light years. That's Stellarium. So what I can do is I can type in 861 light years. Oops, that means to have dropped away from that. Yep, light years. Click on that. And I believe now if I go back and do my set it again, there we go. We've now got it saying, well, I think it's 861 light years. And I'll get rid of my object editor again. So this is 25 frames that we've been pulling on this. Which is not bad, 25 frames of the Dumbbell Nebula. Let's get it a little bit higher. Let's make it a bit brighter. Oh, I've lost the, so if I take my mid levels with me. Let's take the black levels slightly over, just to see if that helps at all. Definitely improves on the color. Background is still very noisy. You can see lots of effect, but I think we've got a high humidity. Well, I know we've got high humidity as well as the moon, and that's really causing problems. And then the other 2 nights, once you got past 7, 8 o'clock at night, the seeing was awful. So what we might do actually say is there is the Dumbbell Nebula. We now know it's 861 light years away. Planetary Nebula puffed off its cores, but puffed off its outer layer, and its little star is still in the center. Lovely object to see in the summer and so on. Lovely object to see on a very dark night. But with EAA, even on a full moon-ish night, I mean, well, 97.6% is pretty full. Still pretty good. Let's just save a scene. I won't record that, I don't think, because I think we're going to run out of time. So what we're going to do is we'll go to a big galaxy. I'm thinking a galaxy that's hurtling towards us, or we're hurtling towards it. I'm not sure how it works. But one thing is clear: we're coming closer and closer together, and one day we'll most probably merge. So this is the Andromeda galaxy, M31. Let's go into fine mode. And just as I can do it from Stellarium, I can also just slew right here on AstroPlanner, and off I go here, and I'm going to head over towards the Andromeda galaxy, way over here. So I can see on the screen that CPC-800 is coming towards me. How high is it? 77 degrees. That's the reason it's crawling along now as it comes across to it. It's quite high, quite near the zenith. But that's the reason we have a star diagonal, because we can go all the way up to 90 degrees if we want to. And then we start getting a lot of field rotation, but we don't care, because we're EAA guys. Look at that. There's the bright core of it straight away. If I drop that down to half a second, we are still moving, by the way, which is interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up. There is backlash compensation, but when we get high, I noticed it does do this. So let's just move that down again to that way a bit. It's a crawl when it's moving and down. Excellent. Oh, too far, doesn't matter. Let's go to an 8-second image again. Let's set that as our current object. And let's start observing. So what's the kind of view we should have? Oh, 127. There we go. Let's sync it. Oh, wow.
M31 selected.
So we're looking directly at the core. Should have been to one side. Let's move the black level out. Let's move this up a bit. And let's change this. My Schmidt-Cassegrain will flip the image, so the view we see on the SharpCap is horizontally flipped, and I can flip that in Stellarium as well, and that more shows what we can see here. So already I can see these cloud bands, which are this one here, I believe, and there seems to be one further out, this one over here, and that's just building up nicely. Let's just align these colors a bit more. The red seems to have got a bit out of control, so we'll pull it back into shape. The blue has also gone a bit high. Oh, we have a bit of green now. And let's pull the color down back to 1-ish. There we go. Now, Andromeda is just too big. It's huge, so it won't fit inside my telescope. In fact, I see it here. It's like 3 degrees by 1 degree, and I've already discussed we're like just short of a degree and just short of half a degree in the field of view of the CPC-800. So it will not fit. So it's not suitable. This wouldn't be the right telescope for this particular object, but it's still incredible to see the dust lanes forming up on a dark night as well. Let's move the black levels up. Let's move the mid-levels up. We can start to hopefully see. It's a bit too far, it doesn't matter. We can see there's bands now going through it. Now, I was quite interested. Okay. Did that do it then? Sorry, I'm just trying to get the. There you go. I'm just trying to get that off Astro Planner. I was quite interested in, because I liked the globular clusters, and I was reading about you can see globular clusters around other nearby galaxies as well. At M31 and Triangulum Galaxy M33 is a good one. And I noticed that in the many catalogues that Astro Planner had, and these are the catalogues, there was M31 globular clusters, 1,164 of them. Not all of them are globular clusters though. And there's also one for M33. If I double click on it, it will show me the catalogue. And it has these classes in the description, class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but luckily there's a little help. And up it comes. It tells you about the actual catalogue. And it says class 1 is confirmed globular cluster, class 2 is candidates, then controversial objects, then ones that are confirmed galaxies, so ones that have been removed as fact that they are not globular clusters, they're something else. Okay, so I wanted class 1 globular clusters, but within my range, because its magnitude range was 12.5 to 22.7. Now, my telescope can see low 18s, while visually, according to Celestron, and I know there are many parameters involved in what the ultimate visual limiting magnitude of your scope is, but if we go by Celestron, it says 14.2. So I'm at least 4 magnitudes higher because I do EAA with a camera. So I wanted to create a list which I could then use in SharpCap to show where the globular clusters were in the image. So I was looking for class 1. So what I did is that if I go in Astro Planner to my object and I say search catalogs and I go to my M31 globular clusters, then I have all these criteria that I can use. RA, depth range, magnitude range. And my magnitude range I wanted between magnitude 12 and magnitude 16. And I also wanted to say that the description contains class 1, or I could have done a regular expression as well. And when I did that, it came back with these class 1 objects, 72 of them. And I added those into a plan, and then I went into File, and I can export plans in a whole series of formats. Some of them predefined, like Sky Safari and things like that, but others I can just make my own. So I went to generic, and I can do formatted, tab separated, comment, and also a separator. And that's important because the SharpCap deep space annotation uses a bar. So I just put a bar in there. It does Excel and XML and JSON as well. And I selected all my objects, and I selected the IDs I wanted from my plan, obviously with the separator. And you can save this once you've done it. So this is the reason it's remembered it here. And then I exported it out as a file into a DSA format. So now, if I go into DSA, that's the reason I moved all those, because it's over here, and do a plate solve, because it says that it's not plate solve. So let's just do a plate solve. There you go. And this whole list of objects are the globular clusters that are orbiting around the Andromeda galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years away, but coming closer all the time. This is it. So this is my field of view. So if I zoom into 100% now, so we can see it. So if we take this one here, for example, and let's zoom in a little bit more, we have a whole series of them here. So this one here is a magnitude 15.23. It's a B103. It obviously has different catalogue names, but it is this kind of fuzzy shape here as a globular cluster. Here's another one, 15.59, and another one. And so using the tools, AstroPlanner and SharpCap together, allowed me to see things which I would never have seen before. And of course, there are tons throughout the core. And wherever that little cross is, that's a very faint one, it's 15.88. Oh, gone past them. Let's go back out to auto. Well, there's a new control key. There you go. Control 0 now in the beta takes you back out to auto, and control 1 puts you to 100%. But anyway, it does. But look at them all. Absolutely fantastic. And so now, these things are orbiting another galaxy, but they would look a lot like M15 did when we were looking at M15. We go to the observations. Where is it gone? Here it is. They would look like little versions of this M15. If you were in the Andromeda galaxy, let's go with that. So I thought that was quite interesting, and that's the power of DSA. And I can just save that. If I go into here, I can say save the image with annotations, and that will save the image as well, and it puts it into where's M31 Andromeda galaxy. And so there it is right there. So that's good. I'll take that off. I think it's 51 minutes, and that's enough for tonight. It was going to get really cold outside, and I really don't want my telescope to get too icy tonight. But thank you very much, and I hope you've seen what the kind of setup I use. It wasn't a particularly good night, but you can still see so much with EAA, and I'm not freezing to death. It's quite warm in here, but outside it's not. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope it encourages you to go out and try it yourself with EAA. Goodbye.